The United States is now being warned by China, by Russia, by Iran, and other smaller countries as well. And we are being warned because they say we are stepping into a fight that is not ours. For instance, Russia warns that the United States is stepping into a fight with Ukraine against Russia. That's not our fight. China warns that they are going to reunite Taiwan with mainland China. But the United States has vowed, and President Biden has said multiple times, if China tries to retake Taiwan, the United States will step in and back Taiwan. Yeah, that's concerning. And then we have this fight between Israel and Hamas. Hamas is an Iranian-backed militant group. Again, right now we are facing multiple threats. Iran is saying that if we jump into this, they are going to attack us as well, like they already have been. But the big concern is things are escalating. We are now getting new reports that U.S. troops are warned of imminent attack. Yes, imminent means it is going to happen, and it will happen soon. But that's not the only person that is threatening us. There are many, many groups that are threatening us right now. It says U.S. government issues winter holiday threat warning. FBI, DHS, and the NCTC assess that ongoing tensions related to the conflict between Israel and Hamas likely heightened the threat of lone actor violence targeting large public gatherings throughout the winter, including holiday-related faith-based New Year's Eve and First Amendment protected events related to the conflict. Well, what we are now hearing is that it's not just that. We are going to see multiple attacks and multiple threats all around the world. So, I'm going to dive into a little bit more of this in just a moment. All I ask is if you enjoy these daily updates, do me a favor. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So why do we continue to get new threats towards the United States and the U.S. military? Well, it's actually pretty simple. China says we cannot go and support Taiwan. Taiwan belongs to China. And because of that, if President Biden vowed to protect Taiwan, which he has, and China decides to reunite Taiwan, whether it's peacefully or militarily, doesn't matter. If we step in, it will be a war. The other one, it actually comes from a Yemen Houthi leader. Look at this. Yemen Houthi leader warns, any American targeting of our country will be targeted by us. Now, what do they mean by this? Well, it has to do with the commercial ships traveling through the Red Sea. As of right now, the United States and other countries, they partnered together and are putting Navy ships inside the Red Sea to protect commercial vessels that are still trying to transport goods and products. Well, the cause for concern here is what we are being told by the Pentagon is we have to retaliate first because of all the attacks on the United States and other commercial ships just recently. So we need to retaliate against Iran. We need to retaliate against the Houthis out of Yemen. Well, this Yemen leader says, if you attack us, we are going to come back and attack you. Just look at this. I want to read you this. It says, we will not stand idly by if the Americans are tempted to escalate further and commit foolishness by targeting our country or waging war against it. Any American targeting of our country will be targeted by us, and we will make American battleships, interest, and navigation a target for our missiles, drones, and military operations. Yeah, it is getting that serious. One thing I can tell you is that the U.S. Naval Force is going to be hit at some point. This article from Bloomberg says Yemen's Houthis vow more attacks on ships in Red Sea despite U.S. Naval Force. It doesn't matter if we have 1 ship or we have 10 ships in the Red Sea. If we are going to conduct any retaliation efforts to Yemen, they are going to attack us even more. This is what the Pentagon officials were worried months ago when they gave President Biden the option of attacking these Iranian-backed groups that were hitting U.S. Military and bases with drones. Well, President Biden opted for the least effective and something that is, it was going to be cause the least casualties. Well, it did. It caused very little destruction at all. And Pentagon officials said it just wasn't going to work. Well, this is the result of waiting and delaying. One thing I can tell you is that waiting and delaying the inevitable is not something that China is going to be open with. What I can tell you is that right now, top U.S. general has spoken with the Chinese counterpart, because for the past 16 months, the two have not talked. And why does China matter so much? Well, China is one of the bigger countries: China, the United States, Russia, right? Russia is currently in the middle of their own little battle, their own war with Ukraine. China is trying to systematically weaken other countries, which by supporting Russia, they have weakened the United States, because now it's spreading our ships very thin. Not only our ships, but military personnel. If you think back to COVID, right, and the whole pandemic, we saw that if people did not go and get the shot, then they were pretty much let go. Go home. We don't need you. We don't want you, right? Well, that happened. We lost a lot of troops. Not only that, but the enrollment numbers. How many people were enrolling to go into the U.S. military? Very little. We saw a decrease in numbers, because why would somebody want to go into the U.S. military? Yes, fight for our country, obviously, but why would they want to do that if they're now being controlled and told, no, you have to go and get the shot. You have to do this. It's not an option. You have to, right? That was a huge concern. And what we are now hearing is that all the requirements that were put in place, that caused our numbers to drop. Well, guess what? China's numbers didn't drop. They've increased. They have more troops than before. Russia, yeah, they are weaker because of the war going on between Ukraine and them, but that's something that's out of our control. That's not our worry. Our worry is Russia could potentially hit us with any type of nuclear threat. That's the concern. But it's not just Russia. And one thing I can tell you is that here in the United States, President Biden is hoping that these wars end. He's hoping Congress can fund Ukraine a little bit more, provide some additional funding to ensure that Ukraine wins this battle against Russia, Russia bows out, and then Ukraine can go back to normal. The United States can stop funding this war, right? Well, it's not just there. Secretary Blinken, he says ending the Israel-Hamas war as quickly as possible is a top priority for the United States in 2024. One of the reasons why is because if the United States cannot fix this and help end this war immediately, it's going to hurt the Biden administration in the upcoming presidential election. So, of course, it's a top concern. One thing we do know is that right now, it's not just keeping the war where it's at now and the current size. It's we need to ensure that this war doesn't spread. Well, according to an article from New York Times, it says U.S. Defense Chief says Israeli shift would reduce fears of a regional war. Israel needs to shift away from attacking the people, needs to shift away from just all this bombardment. Right? There's missiles hitting Gaza. Well, what we've been told is that by the end of next week, that this could be the end. This could be the end of the current intense state of the war. That could be good news. But again, that's still a week away. Now, here's something I can tell you. The United States is highly concerned about all these threats. The problem is we can't deal with all these threats at the exact same time. We can deal with one and then the next. But if all these threats come at us at once, what are we going to do? Well, this is one of the reasons why, according to reports, President Biden is trying to work with our allies so that they can take on certain responsibilities. For instance, with the Israel and Hamas war, can the United States step back, and can other countries like France, can they step in and persuade Israel to a ceasefire? Possibly, but probably not. And if France can do that, or other countries can do that, the United States steps back, we can conserve our resources. Because again, we have to be prepared for a potential attack. Not only that, but can other countries step in and help Ukraine? Possibly. Are they? Well, we're going to have to wait and see. But one of the worries is, especially from Europe, is, well, we need to ensure that Russia doesn't win. If Russia takes over Ukraine, it's going to be a huge loss for a lot of Europe. And then as far as China's concerned, will other countries step up if Taiwan is threatened by China? Well, from what we've seen, the answer is no. So this is kind of our main concern, is what is going to happen with Taiwan, and will the United States have to step in to protect them from China? No, we don't know. But this is why all these threats of a possible attack are highly concerning, because in many cases we know where the threat's coming from, but in this case, with China, with Russia, and Iran, well, it's tough to predict what's going to happen and who's going to hit us. But one thing I can promise you is I will be here every step of the way. I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. All I ask is two things. First, hit the like button on this video if you enjoyed these daily updates. Second thing, click that subscribe button so you never miss an update. And I will see you guys on the next one.